Well, go ahead and get started in the interest of time. My name is Mary Jo Larson, and I'm the Assistant Dean of Education at PLU, and I'm really pleased to share with you a little bit about our program this evening. We got a few more folks who are entering the webinar, so welcome everyone. As we get started, before we get into sharing details about our program, if you are able to find the chat and just put in the chat what you're interested in when it comes to teaching. If you have an idea of the grade level or the content that you would like to teach, go ahead and toss that in the chat. That will help me potentially tailor the presentation a little bit to your needs. So again, if you can find the chat, go ahead and put in your teaching interests. With that, I will get going. So I just wanted to start with, oh, Stephanie has a question. I think my colleague Chuck will get your question answered. Oh, it looks like maybe you need to use the Q&A feature instead of the chat, if that's your question, Stephanie. So we've got a few folks interested in elementary education so far, so keep going ahead and adding your endorsement interests into the Q&A instead of the chat. I apologize for that confusion. Just wanted to start with a little bit of information about PLU programs. So if you come to PLU and enroll in our teacher education program, one of the things that we pride ourselves in at PLU across campus is having a caring staff and faculty. So we're here to support you. We have a really high job placement rate. So when you finish our program, you'll be sought after by school districts. We have a study away program in Namibia. Our students just left last week and they are there through May. Actually, we have a January option and a full semester option. And then when we survey principals about teaching and our teacher candidates who are in their schools, you can see that principals really like our alumni. So if you come here, you're going to be really well prepared and sought after by schools and districts. That first year salary, that's the average base salary, but most teacher salaries for somebody with a bachelor's degree are actually more in the mid to high 50,000 range once you count all the professional development pay and whatnot that's included. So the salary is actually a bit higher than that. So far, it looks like everyone who's participated in the chat is thinking elementary education, so that's ideal for our undergraduate program. So getting into a little more detail, our teacher education program for undergraduates starts in the fall of your junior year. So you'd spend the first 2 years working on your general education curriculum, taking electives, maybe studying away, and then you start our program in the fall of your junior year. And it's all 4 semesters of those, your junior and senior year, and both J terms we have coursework. And the key thing, we use this double helix to demonstrate that in our program, we have a really good connection of theory and research and practice. So you might hear some people say, oh, teacher education is all about book learning. You need more time in schools. And we do a really good job of melding those two things together. This is a little bit about who we are as a program and what we care about and think are important for new teachers to be prepared to do. And you can see it aligns really well with the PLU mission statement. And we actually have paragraphs that describe each of these things, each of these statements that you would learn about when you came to our program. But you can see that we have a strong emphasis on relationships and equity, culturally relevant instruction, but also recognizing that teaching is a complex endeavor and that we're preparing you to embrace that complexity and be ready to engage with that. We use a cohort model in our program at PLU. So while your first 2 years, you'll take courses that are of interest to you related to the general education requirements, and again, your personal interests. Once you start our program, you go through all of our courses in the same sequence with your same group of students. And so you develop a really close relationship with those other students, and you become lifelong friends and colleagues. The other important aspect of our program, like I was saying before, connecting the theory and the book learning with actually being in a school and practicing. So starting that fall semester of your junior year, you have a practicum every semester. And over the course of those 2 years, you'll spend 700 to 900 hours out in public school. So again, you're well prepared for that first teaching job when you graduate and leave the program. We partner with 28 school districts in the region. These are just a few of the ones that we place a lot of student teachers with because they're the ones closest to PLU. But again, we do partner with 28 school districts across the region. And so variety of potential places for you to do your practicums and student teaching. So to get a little more specific about what the options are during your bachelor's degree at PLU, we have essentially 3 program tracks. One is to do the elementary education program in our department, and it looks again through the chat that most of you are interested in that option. And then we require students to complete elementary education and pair it with another content area so that you have extra options when you finish our program. So you can either do elementary education with reading and English language learners or with special education. And again, even if you want to be that first grade teacher or that 5th grade teacher, having that extra emphasis and preparation in special education or in reading helps you be a better general education teacher. And it also gives you the options to be a special education teacher or a reading specialist. The other options we have at the undergraduate level for teaching are the health and fitness, which is, commonly called PE. That program is mostly offered through our colleagues in the kinesiology department, though if you do go that route, you would take a few courses with us. And then music K-12, which again is mostly offered through the music department, but you do take some courses with us. And so you can see if you're interested in teaching math or science or social studies or art, those aren't listed here. Those are offered through our graduate program. So if you're thinking, again, I didn't see this in the chat, but if you're interested in one of these areas, one of the sciences or social studies, like I said, whoever just said they're interested in secondary science, what you would do is come to PLU, finish a bachelor's degree in one of the sciences that you're most interested in, and then you would complete our 1-year master's degree to earn your teaching certificate and be ready to teach. And so I would encourage you, my colleagues in admission can provide contact information, and I'm happy to talk with you one-on-one about what that pathway would look like. So any of these ones, again, mostly middle and high school teaching, you would do your undergraduate degree in the area you want to teach, and then do the master's degree for your teaching certificate. So again, I'm going to go back real quick. Here are the options at our undergraduate or bachelor's degree level, and then these are options at the master's degree level at PLU. And the reason we do that is in order to be a high school chemistry teacher, say, you really need a lot of chemistry coursework from your bachelor's degree, and it's just a little too much to try to do all in 4 years. As I mentioned earlier, this program has a unique study away option to do some teaching observation and teaching practicum in Namibia in Southwest Africa. And there's 2 options. One is to go just for January term. So if you've been exploring PLU, we have a 1-month term in January, and it's a common time for students to study away. We're right in the middle of J term right now. And so our students have the option to go for 1 month for a study away, or for the whole January and spring term. And these are some photos from that program. very popular with our students. And while you're there, you take courses from the University of Namibia that count in our program. So some prerequisites, and I'm going to talk about these and then with a little bit of a caveat. So in order to start our program again in your junior year, you actually have to have completed enough credits to be a junior. You have to have maintained an overall GPA at PLU and take a couple particular courses: Psychology 101, Writing 101, and Math 123, which is math for elementary teachers. So if you took AP Math in high school and you're thinking, oh, I'm done with math at PLU, if you want to be in our elementary ed program, you need that specific math for elementary teachers. So those are the items that you need to have done in order to start our program. And then you can see the courses listed at the bottom. Those are ones that you can take before coming into the program, or you can still finish a couple of those while you're actively taking our courses in your junior and senior year. And so those are all the prerequisites and co-requisites to finish the program. We are just launching a new direct admit option, and the admissions counselors can provide you more information about that. But essentially, if you are graduating from high school, you apply to PLU and you meet the admissions requirements to PLU, and you say you want to be a teacher, you can be directly admitted into our program. So you don't have to reapply or do any extra pieces other than make sure that you complete the items on the screen here. So it just cuts down on some extra steps and interviews and whatnot that you would have to do. So as long as you want to do elementary education, health and fitness, or music, you can pursue that direct admissions option. If you're going to do the master's program to teach high school, that is a separate application, but you would do that in your senior year. So before I go on, I just wanted to see if there's any. The college level psychology class, potentially that could count for Psych 101. I would want my colleague Ryan to confirm that. And he's actually on a J-term trip, but we could get back to you and let you know. So again, as I mentioned, the program starts in your junior year. That's when you actually start taking education courses and doing your practicum. But if you're really excited and eager to get going, there's some things that you can do your first 2 years at PLU to stay engaged. This includes, like I said, you're going to be completing your general education coursework, and you might select courses that meet those requirements that help prepare you for teaching, or you might select courses that are really unrelated to teaching but are of interest to you. Again, take your Psych 101, your Writing 101, and so on. We have education professors that teach Writing 101, so they're a great choice when you're picking your Writing 101 class to start to meet some of our faculty and explore topics related to education through your Writing 101 class. We have historically had a Education 190 class that's going to be becoming a new class, but it's one of the first year requirements. And so there's usually an education professor teaching one of those first year requirements. And again, that's a great option to select. That's usually taught by one of our faculty that really explores diverse children's literature. So it's a really fun class. And then we offer Education 205 every fall and spring semester, which is multicultural perspectives in the classroom. So you could take one or both of your first year experience courses from our department, and then you could take Education 205, say in your sophomore year, your second year at PLU, and have some connection with us prior to officially enrolling in the education program. Some other opportunities on campus for working with children and youth and gaining that experience and staying connected before you enter our program are some Club Keithley, which does some tutoring at Keithley Middle School nearby campus. You could apply to work or volunteer in the Parkland Literacy Center. which is an outreach program offered through the university. And then every year we bring a young children or young adult author to campus for a lecture. We had Jason Reynolds a couple years ago of the Miles Morales fame. We had Matt De La Pena a couple years ago. So pretty big name authors, and you can attend those sessions your freshman and sophomore year, and they're all free and open to everyone. So those are some of the ways that you could explore teaching and stay connected to teaching prior to entering our program. So that's the program in a nutshell. I'll address the question in the chat, and if you have other questions or comments, feel free to add those in the Q&A as well. Is preschool or early childhood education part of PLU's program? Not officially. Our elementary education program is kindergarten through 8th grade. So that does cover the part of early childhood. But if you were specifically looking for the early childhood education endorsement, you could add that later. But our program is focused on K-8. Any other questions? I'm just going to pop back here so that the undergraduate options are front and center. Accelerated option to get the master's degree. Our master's degree is a 1-year master's, and so that's already a pretty accelerated option. So however long it takes you to finish your bachelor's degree, then you only have 1 year on top of that. And so that's a pretty quick route to finish. And then with a master's degree, your starting salary is usually 10 to 12,000 more than with a bachelor's degree. Is it possible to double major in elementary education and theater? Possibly. PLU is very keen on supporting students to explore a variety of interests and majors and whatnot. So if you were interested in that, what I would encourage you to do is talk, as soon as you start at PLU, is talk, or even before, is talk with my colleague Ryan Brancini, who's our undergraduate advisor, and he could help you map out how you might do that, or even major and minor. It's also possible to, if you're really into theater, at PLU, you can be in theater productions or be in the band or choirs or whatnot without having to major in those areas. So that's also another way you can work on the stage managing or audition to be in performances without being a major. So quite likely you could at least minor in theater and at the very least participate in the theater program. But my colleague Ryan would be the best person to talk to, and admissions will be sure you have his contact info. Our program is, because we're preparing you for such a complex and an essential role, though that junior and senior year is pretty intense with our coursework and then being out in practicum and whatnot. But you have your first 2 years at PLU again to complete general university requirements, as well as take courses for other minors or majors. And then there's a little bit of room for taking some classes once you're in our program as well. Most of and I'll just say this too, most of those pre and co-requisites on this page, most of those, if you're strategic and work with your advisor, those also count for the general university requirements. And so you can chart a strategic path your first 2 years at PLU so that you're not having to take a lot of extra courses. If you're willing, if anybody can put in the Q&A kind of what you're interested in, what's drawing you to teaching, why do you want to be teachers? Because we definitely need qualified, passionate folks coming into our field. And so I'm excited that you're here, but I just would love, I wish I could see you, but I would love to see in the chat the why are you interested in teaching? Ideally, Stephanie, that you would take the West B before you start in the fall. But definitely we have vouchers to support with the cost of the test. And you could take it over the summer. You wouldn't have to do it while you're still at Pierce. We'll get your contact information and be sure that you get the info. Elise, you can put, if you are willing to share, you can go ahead and put it in the Q&A. I keep saying chat, but I mean Q&A. For those of you relative to the West B, so that is a basic skills test that's required by the state in reading, writing, and math. And it doesn't matter that you're college students, or even when you're coming into the master's degree, you'll be college graduates if you're going that route. It is required by the state that everybody who's entering a teacher program completes a basic skills test. For those of you who are coming straight into PLU, if you take the SAT or ACT and have those scores sent to PLU, I know we're testing optional for the admissions decision, but you can still have those scores sent. We can use those in lieu of you taking an extra test. So even for Stephanie, if you happen to take the ACT or SAT when you were in high school, we could look at those scores and see if they meet the requirement. I'm the person to contact for graduate endorsements, and so I'll be sure that the admissions office shares my contact info with you, so we can get together after this session. That's awesome. We hear a lot of similar stories about people who end up working with kids and fall in love with the experience and the impact you can have and just their passion. Hey, if you can track down those SATs from 1993, we'll take them. So you can do that, or we can give you the voucher to just go ahead and take the West B. So reach out to us and we can chat a little bit more about the best option. Excellent. Teaching and leadership experience. It's a great background. Any other questions that we can help you with this evening? As you're thinking, if there's anything else you want to ask, I'm just excited to hopefully meet you all in person. I'm happy to meet with you one-on-one or have my colleague Ryan meet with you. There's 3 sections to the West B: a subtest in reading, a subtest in writing, and a subtest in math. And you can also mix and match with the SAT and the ACT in the West B. So if you say took the SAT and did really well in the math portion, or the reading portion, but not as well in the math portion, then you could take the West B just in math. So you can mix and match to maximize your scores. Great. Yeah, if you want a voucher for the West B, just reach out and we can provide that for you. Well, again, I'm really excited that you're all thinking about teaching at various levels, and that you're bringing a passion and interest in working with kids to your time at PLU. Hopefully we'll see you all in our program in the next couple of years. Don't hesitate to reach out. My admissions colleagues can provide our contact info So you can chat directly with us about any additional program specific questions or what the practicum's like or anything that you might have on your mind about teaching either now or when you enroll at PLU.